Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar hosted by Travify Academy with our special guest, Joshua Harrell. We're so excited for you to be here with us. And yes, here he is. We said he has like the most magnificent backdrop of all time. It's so nice.
I call
so
this
good.
the Sequin Palace. This is the Sequin Palace. Yeah.
And we are jealous. We are jealous.
Yes, we need that here. That's what we're gonna need. And it's like a Travify blue color. It's perfect.
It's like I thought about that.
He's been preparing for this. But for anyone who's new here, I will introduce Joshua in a second, but I do just want to quickly say hello. My name is Stephanie Grice, and I'm the Senior Client Champion and Education Coordinator here at Travify. We also have Scott Rutz, who is part of the founding team at Travify, joining us here today. So we're super excited to have him on too. A lot of times you probably see him in the questions, and now he's on here front and center, and we're excited to have him on.
Stephanie has no idea the mistake she made of letting me on here. So
yeah, this could go.
I begged her. I said I want a partner in crime.
Yes. Yeah, we need a third person in here. It's going to be a good time today. But just to quickly share, if this is your first time joining Travify Academy, first of all, welcome, and we are so blessed to have you in here. But if this isn't, I apologize, you've heard this spiel many times, but I just always like to go over what Travify Academy is and what to expect on this webinar. So Travify Academy is a free educational resource to further Travify's mission to power the success of travel professionals. So our team has the privilege to work with thousands of amazing travel advisors and organizations daily, and we have partnered with many of these industry experts and thought leaders to bring you powerful content and educational webinars to help you grow your business. So it's important to note that these webinars are not commercial in nature to specifically promote any of our industry speakers, including Travify, in which Travify Academy does not focus on Travify's products. You'll find more information on Travify Academy, other webinars, other content on academy.travify.com. Now, before we dive in, though, there's one last thing that I want to do is talk about little housekeeping. This is our third session out of 5 for our sales workshop, and this is the end of day 1. So thank you, everyone, if you've been joining us through the past. Yeah, we've made it. Well, I guess we're almost not done yet, but we're getting there, and we're so excited. We've had so much fun, and we hope you have too. But one thing I do want to point out is tomorrow we'll have 2 webinars, and if you are not registered for those and you do want to attend, make sure you register for those sessions. They'll be, if you go to academy.travify.com, you can go register for them in there. The other thing is these will all be recorded, including this session. So you will automatically receive a recording afterwards so that you can watch that. If you have to hop off early, no worries. And you'll also be able to watch all the replays too. The other thing I want to point out is Joshua was so kind to put together a free printout for everybody, which he'll talk about here in a bit, but you'll get that as well in that email. So we'll be sending that out after this too. There it is. Look at it. Yeah, it's going to be so nice. We're so excited. And again, we'll put that in the email, and I'll also have it on the article. So if you miss it in the email, don't worry, we've got you. And then we'll also have time, hopefully, to get some questions with Josh today as well. So you can use that question box and ask those during too. But now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's introduce Joshua now. Here it is. So Joshua is a coach, an entrepreneur, an author, and presenter. And Joshua coaches high achievers clear the path and unleash the phenomenal force inside so that they can reach their highest levels of success. And over the years, Joshua has built several of his own companies from scratch and served on others' advisory boards. His passion lies in helping teams connect their brand with their customers while maintaining a culture of personal and professional development at the organization's heart. And among a lot of things that he's done, Joshua is also the author of best-selling book, Digital Marketing Strategies for Your Business, and creator of Show Up and Shine Planner, a versatile planner for entrepreneurs, executives, leaders, creatives, students, and any combination of them all. So we're talking to the right person here today. So welcome, Josh, and thank you for joining us for this conversation.
I'm absolutely blushing because I wrote that bio, but I've never heard someone say it back to me.
I feel inspired.
Do you feel inspired?
I feel inspired.
I want to awaken the phenomenal force inside of everyone, including you, Scott.
Okay. You're on the right track.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. I love that you guys have put this series together. Sales is so important, and it's really I mean, it is the lifeblood of any organization, but sales has that negative, like, ooh, and everybody always says, well, I don't want to be like our car salesman. I feel so bad for car salespeople because it's like, that's always, whenever you say sales, people are like, ugh. But sales, I have found, always being in marketing and being an entrepreneur, it's really where the rubber meets the road. And do you even have a viable product or service? If no one buys it, then you don't. You just created something that's sitting in a warehouse, or you've got knowledge that is going nowhere. So sales is extremely important. Now, Stephanie, did you want to kick off, or do you want me to just kind of like dive on into our topic today?
Yeah, I'll let you dive right in.
Okay. So Stephanie mentioned that there is a download that I prepared for you, and she said it's going to come through in a follow-up email. So I also created this just so I would stay on topic. So if you see me look down, it's because I'm trying to keep myself on topic. But do ask your questions, because I want to make sure that you get the most out of this session. Now, the very first thing that I want to do is I'd like to just have a little meditational moment, and let us all just say together that there are no silver bullets when it comes to marketing. Just say that for me.
There are no silver
bullets when it comes to marketing.
Thank you. See, if I had been doing that by myself, I wouldn't have been able to hear it back. So what I have found over and over again in conversations, and even my own experience, is as an entrepreneur, you are constantly looking for quick fixes. And the next shiny object comes along, and oh, there's a great CRM. I'm going to spend 2 weeks moving everything over there, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And with word of mouth marketing, it's a long game. And Scott, you were calling it a mutual fund. I mean, you have got to invest time in it. And that's something that I want to make sure that we get across here. It's definitely something that you should definitely have in your business. I mean, it pays dividends. It is free marketing and advertising for your business, but it's something that you have to take action right now, and you have to put together a strategy. And the other point I want to make is that and this is my belief, and anyone can disagree. I just hope that through this session, even if you don't like any of my ideas, it sparked an idea of your own that you're like a freaking legend, and you just, riff right off of it. But I truly believe that a strategy is not a strategy unless you can write it down and explain it to someone else. Now, I've been in so many meetings where someone says, oh, well, we've got this strategy for XYZ. They don't really have a strategy, they just have something that they do. So and when Stephanie said, well, here are some topics, what would you like to speak on? I love the idea of word of mouth marketing and then strategy, and really talking about how to create something that you think through what works for your business, and you're able to write that down and then either share with your team members, or if you're by yourself, you're a solopreneur, then you've got that plan that you can always come back to. You can adjust, but you got to be able to write it down. So we're going to talk about a few things through the session, but I just want, at the end of the day, I would love for you to be able to just jot down a few notes of what your strategy will be. Now, first, to talk about word of mouth and why it's so important. People are much more likely to buy from and buy more quickly from a company that has been recommended to them versus something that they just find online. So there's, as human beings, we have it in our DNA that we need to have that social proof that someone else likes this thing. I mean, it's just, I mean, think about the things that we do. I mean, it's even your Instagram feed. You know, you see something with 1,000 likes and you're like, oh, I better like that one too, because it's just in our nature. So using word of mouth marketing or a word of mouth strategy, it's helping more people recommend your product, your service. So then when it comes time to buy, they don't need to vet you. They've already vetted you because somebody has recommended you to them. So, or you know what I mean. They've recommended. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, got a little tripped up on my words there. So word of mouth marketing works to build brand loyalty, trust, and awareness, and it is free. But like I said, you have to put some tactics in place in order for it to grow. And when it does start to go, when it gets in motion, it grows exponentially. There are agents that I talk to right now who have been in business for donkey's years, I mean, forever. They don't have to pay a dime for advertising because they have created a word of mouth strategy, whether they thought about it or not at the time, but they put things in play that just help them build this network that just continues to grow. In fact, at the point of retirement, their business is bigger than it's ever been. And now they have to do the referral to someone else who's going to take over their clients. And even that referral is another opportunity for the new agent to build their business. So, I mean, there's multiple ways that a word of mouth strategy can work for you. And then one of the benefits of a word of mouth marketing strategy and having one in place is you increase that customer lifetime value. So instead of having a customer that's a one and done, you know, peace out, I'm not shopping with you, I got my Disney vacation, I'm good to go. You've got customers that, because of the strategy, you've got customers that are coming back to you. So you've got that repeat business, and then that repeat business then leads to more referrals. So now you've got all of those new people that they have introduced you to. So it's that one customer now has so much more value than they did with that one river cruise on Avalon or what have you. They now represent a much bigger number in a span of they really do have that reach, and that's what you're striving for. So now, kind of talking about all those different things, you're saying, well, can you get to the point? Like, how do I get started? Well, the piece that is so important is that you have to create a phenomenal, you like that? Phenomenal force. I like to awaken the phenomenal force inside. Yeah, there's a little thing there. You have to create a phenomenal first experience. And I know that you are sitting in your chair wherever you are right now and you're saying, I am phenomenal. My customers love me. What I do is awesome. I know you're there. But when was the last time that you just stepped out of your current situation and just really evaluate the customer experience, especially the first time customer experience? What is it like? Is there any friction when they first make contact with you? For example, do they have to fill out a web form, and then does it take you a while to get back to them? How soon do you get back to them? Are you reachable through Facebook instant messaging if I go to your Facebook page? If I call you, I know, oh gosh, the phone, I know that's like, you know, taboo. No one gets on the phone anymore. But if I do call you, do you make me go to voicemail? Or during business hours am I likely to get through to you? Think about some of those just that experience. How does someone start to do business with you? And then what is it like to do business with you? Do they hear too much from you? Are they like, oh my gosh, could you just put this in one email? Or do they not hear from you enough? I know that this sounds pretty basic to go through this, but if you don't have a phenomenal first experience, it's not that, I mean, that is the foundation of a word of mouth marketing strategy, is that phenomenal experience that they have with you. You want them to bring you more people to experience that first experience, or the phenomenal first experience. So it's an exercise that I do. I work with a host agency, TravelQuest Network, and we have thousands of independent travel professionals. And they all have different types of businesses and different niches. And working with them is a lot of fun, because I get to work with people who are brand new to the industry or just starting a business, or people that have larger companies, larger agencies, and are at a different life cycle stage. But even my own company has to go through and take a minute and say, is it easy for support calls to get through? What happens when a cruise line has a cancellation? How fast are we responding? And then what does that response look like? Is it empathetic? So just constantly looking at your house and making sure it's in order is super, super important. And make a plan to make quick adjustments, or even things that might take a little bit longer to do. But make a plan to make sure that that first experience is phenomenal. Like I said, I know I would say every person that ever deals with me is like, he is freaking amazing. But I know I can find ways to do better and be better. So I just challenge you to poke any holes in how you operate, and how that first experience goes with you, and see if you can make any improvements, and then always just keep on refining that. That's a constant process. So the other thing I like to say with this is, think about the companies that knock your socks off on a regular basis. How do you compare with them? Because it's funny, I have so many conversations with business owners, and they'll talk about problems that they're having, getting sales, or with their marketing, or their sales team, or what have you. And then they will, in another conversation, talk about how isn't Amazon amazing? I can chat with somebody and I get a solution right away. They'll talk about all these other companies, but they don't see how some of the things that those companies do are things that you could actually incorporate in your business to make, if your socks are knocked off by them, if you incorporate some of their processes, then that will help you also make a phenomenal first experience. So I just ask that you always strive to sell quality products, and we all know that there's some, there's a scale on products. Some, great customer service, some not so great, and some that are just extraordinary. Whatever you sell, whatever your niche is, make sure that you know that it's quality. Create a seamless experience from start to finish with a new client, as well as repeat business, but really make sure that that is a seamless experience. Run a tight operation, that probably goes without saying, and I know everyone does this, but go above and beyond for your customers. And sometimes that's as simple as my example of just picking up the phone when someone calls. That it makes a huge difference, especially if you've got travelers on the other side of the world and it's 2 a.m. and they've got a problem. To be able to reach out and actually connect with you that is going above and beyond and really does knock their socks off, and it will be something that they will tell other people. So now on to some ideas, and all of this, everything that I'm talking about is in the download, so you don't have to take copious notes, and I'm using it as a cheat sheet myself. So so here's some strategies, here's some things to think about in terms of creating a word of mouth marketing strategy. Every time I try to say that, do you hear that I'm tripping up saying it? I'm just going to
It's
call
a
it a
mouthful.
WOMM. It's a wombat. We might as well give it it's an animal. It's a little wombat. So my first one is create something unique to your brand. And if you're a solopreneur, guess what? You're the only you in this galaxy. You are an endangered species. So you are the X factor in your business. Don't take your personality out of the business, bring it into the business. And what do you want people to say about their experience with you? Really think about that. I know it's going to sound so basic, but we all want people to write reviews on our businesses. Um, we would love that. We would love for them to tell their hairdresser, their friends. We would love for them to do that. And we kind of sit back and we just hope, like, please tell somebody. Eventually, this is gonna the ball is gonna get into motion. But what is it that we want them to say? Do we want them to say that Joshua answers the phone every time I call him? I'm able to text him. He saved me when I was in Greece and it was 2 a.m. his time. You know, he's always there for me. Or Joshua brings. That's weird to talk about myself in a third person. So I'm going to say
Passionate.
Stephanie.
Yeah.
So Stephanie, she brings such passion to European destinations that she has now, in the several times I've traveled with her, she has now added more stops to my bucket list than I ever thought possible because she's so passionate about it. And every conversation with her, I learned something. Even before I go or even before I'm planning a trip, I learned so much about European culture and different things that I just have to see. You know, these are already a part of how you're doing business, but can you write down exactly what you want your customer to say to someone else? If you can't, this is an opportunity to just plot that out. What would you want them to say about your business? If you don't want to take calls at 2 a.m., then that's probably not a part of your story that you want to tell. But the reason why I say to do this is each of your business, like I said, you are unique. You and your team are unique if you've got a larger agency. But if you write down what you want someone to say about you, then you can start to craft the copy on your website, even the emails that you draft, whether they're broadcast marketing emails or even just your one-to-one emails. You can start to infuse some of those themes into those communications, your social feed, things like that, that then makes it very evident for your customer. It's almost like you're putting the script in their mouth. So what is that script? Write it down, and that is the very, very start of your word of mouth marketing strategy. What is it that you want people to say about you?
I was going to say one
Sorry,
thing real quick, because I think you're touching on a really good point of how agents and advisors have to think through what their unique selling proposition is to clients. And if you can pinpoint that, you should start structuring all of your services, all of those interaction points and touch points with the client around that. If it, to Joshua, to your point, if it's service, then the speed at which you answer the phone, the speed at which you answer emails, the duty of care after hours is super important. If it's the unique experiences, then you have to start crafting that from the very beginning. I think like that's gold right there. That's really, really important.
It is funny too, because so many people start out, start with a website, and they just put the basics in there, right? Like this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how you contact me. Like super, super basic information. But if you think about that unique selling proposition first, then you start to craft that about me page or about us page a little different. You have your GPS set, like I want to get this across, and then everything else kind of falls into place. But oftentimes, and I would say many of the people that are on or watching this on demand would say, you know, I haven't really looked at that in a long time. Like I've put information on my website as I needed to kind of tick the box for XYZ, but what is my unique selling proposition? And then from that, how do I want that to translate so I can put that script in the mouth of my customers, and then they can spread the word. They can become my evangelists, right? So yes. The other thing is create word of mouth triggers. Ask for referrals and tell them precisely what to do. And you're thinking, well, that seems pretty obvious. That's not, you know, that's not a miraculous statement. But I know for a fact, so many people do not ask for a referral or ask for a recommendation. They assume that if my service is good enough, someone will post on social media. They'll add a Facebook, add a review on Facebook or on my Google My Business panel. But if you don't ask for it, you're definitely not going to get it. And it's not because they don't like, your clients don't like working with you. It's just because we don't think about it. I mean, how many businesses do you interact with on a weekly basis? I mean, I know during COVID times, we're not interacting with that many people, but you know, the businesses, we will definitely go to, we'll publish content when someone does us wrong and we're not happy. But think about all the people that do amazing work for you that you just don't think about it. It's only when we get really angry that we're ready to go to the masses and spread our words. So we've got to start asking for the referral and telling them precisely what to do. And in the beginning, it feels a little weird, and I call it being armless, where you're just kind of like a Muppet and your arms don't move. You work with a client. They said, you know what, gosh, I love working with you, Scott. And then Scott's like, okay, well, please tell your friends. That's not gonna. That's not even. Again, if we go back to my definition of a strategy, where you're gonna write that down, is that a part of your strategy? I'm just gonna say, tell your friends. No, tell them what you want them to do. And this kind of goes into my next point: is tell them where to rate your service, or where to write a recommendation for you. And every business is unique, although I mean there's some commonality here. But for you, it might be that you just, you know, if someone says, I really love your service, you say, well, would you mind sending me an email with a testimonial that I can use on my website? Or even better, and I didn't put this in the handout, and I'm surprised because this is my big thing right now, is can you just grab your phone and say something about me or about my company on video and send that video to me? I mean, we all know that video is king right now. So, you know, and it's pretty easy to do. It's actually easier for someone to take a video of themselves talking about you than it is for them to write. And people are worried about their paragraphs, and are they using the Oxford comma or not? These are the things that I worry about. So If you asked me to do a recommendation, I would definitely do a video pretty fast. But the other thing is, do you want to be rated on your Facebook page, or do you want to be rated on your Google My Business panel? And that's different. That's based on where you see the most activity and where people connect with you the most. Now, if you have a physical location, I'm going to say hands down, Google My Business panel is where it's at, because if I look up your company, it shows up right there. I can see your star rating, and then I can see your recommendations. If maybe you're virtual, then your game is probably really at the Facebook level. And again, there's star ratings and reviews there. So don't say, will you please rate my business? Because they don't know where you want them to rate. And in the handout, and you can search for this, it isn't like some secret that only I know, but in the handout, I've given you a link to an article on how you can send a link to your Google My Business panel review area, so you don't have to tell them, oh, first search for my business, Scott's Travel, and Alabama, Scott's in Alabama, just for today's purposes, Scott's Travel in Alabama, and then I should pop up, because you don't know if you are. I mean, that is, you do when you're in your Chrome or whatever, and Google knows who you are. But unless you really have that top ranking, you might not be the first thing that they see. So there's a super easy way that you can send them a link that takes them right into the review, and likewise, you can do the same thing with Facebook. So make a decision, where do you want the reviews? And my opinion, and I am full of opinions, but my opinion is pick one and push that one hard. So do I want video testimonials for my website that I can also use on social? That's great. Do I want those reviews and ratings on Facebook, or do I want them on Google My Business? Bing Business, I don't really want to kind of go off too far on that. It exists, it's out there, but I haven't seen it get the traction that Google My Business got. I don't know if or Stephanie, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I feel like Bing My Business is just kind of over here, and really your Facebook and Google My Business are the front runners. What do you think?
Agree. Last time we looked at Bing traffic, it's a decent chunk, but for a finite amount of time that you have within a given day or month to manage this kind of stuff, I absolutely agree. You have to pick one and then just relentlessly push on that.
Yeah. And then and don't get me wrong, if you don't have your Bing places or whatever it's called, I can't remember what it's called, make sure you get that, because you want to make sure that's the preference for the PC environment. But I really think pick one, and that's the one in your email communications you send. Maybe you even have it in your signature where hey, like the service you receive, click here, and send them to where you want them to send a review or leave a review. So you've got to figure out what you want to do, and then make sure that you tell your people what you want them to do. Okay, that is so important. And there's something I want to say with CPR training, and I have not been trained in this, I've just heard the story, that part of kind of dealing with the crisis is, instead of saying, can someone call 911, you start pointing at people to say, you call 911, you get me blankets, blah, blah, blah. You really do have to tell people what to do. And it doesn't have to be harsh. It can be super friendly. And at the end of the day, most people who like doing business with you, which is of course who you want to activate, are more than happy to do that. I mean, think about the endless amount of scroll time we spend looking at Instagram, when I could be giving my hairstylist and her barbershop a super review on Google My Business. It takes so little time to do this. So So again, I put a link to how you can get that link. It's super easy, and of course you can search for it. But Stephanie, when will this handout be available to the team?
Yeah.
For the
Yeah, I was
audience?
just gonna say we have a lot of questions on that. So it'll come in an email right after this. So it'll probably just take about an hour after we wrap up, and then everyone will get it. But I'll also put it on academy.travefy.com in the sales workshop. So thanks for letting us do that little shout out. Everyone will have access to it.
Good, 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 good. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that. No, I did. This was important. So the next thing I want to talk about is, and these are all just a part of creating a word of mouth marketing strategy. So some of these, you might think are, oh yeah, I definitely need to do that. Some of these things you might be doing, but you might be doing it subconsciously and not consistently. So like I said, I'd like you to get to the point where you, at the end of this, you start jotting down ideas and you say, this is my strategy. Because once it's written down, you can revisit it, you can edit, you can revise. But I encourage your clients to create content on their holidays and tag you. They don't even have to, it could just be a simple tag. It can be, do you have a branded hashtag? If you don't, you should. And we could have a whole session on hashtags and creating hashtags, but it's so easy to search for hashtags that are already being used. What works with your brand? What works with your brand personality? Come up with a hashtag, and in your communications, maybe pre-trip or pre-departure, say, hey, and if you feel up to it, I'd use this hashtag on your post, and ask them if it's okay if you repost the content that they post with that hashtag. Again, these are your fans, so they're willing to do this for you. And if they aren't, that's fine too. Maybe they're not even on social media. But if you don't ask and you don't tell them what to do, then you're not going to get anything out of it. And the other thing that I have found is super, super helpful, and it really depends on your bandwidth and your team's bandwidth, is while you have clients traveling, follow them on social media, and if they start creating content, jump in. Oh my gosh, I knew that was going to be the longest zip line at sea. I knew you were going to do that. I told you, something like that. They probably were not thinking about you, but everyone reads the comments on their posts, and all of a sudden it's going to dawn on them, oh yeah, Stephanie arranged this for me. She told me about it, and I told her I was not going to do it, and now I did it. Big shout out to Stephanie's Travel in Mississippi. I don't know why I'm doing only Southern states. I don't know why that is, but that's a good thing to do, especially with these clients that are your fans, that are your evangelists. If you are active on social media, or your company, your brand is active on social media, make sure you follow your clients. That's not creepy. It's a way for you to kind of travel with them. So you're not disconnecting at the time that they depart. You're still connected, and it helps remind them that this amazing experience that you crafted for them it was you did it. And then they're likely to, while they're at the pool, they're like, oh, you know what? I never did leave a review, and she told me to do that. These are all little ways that you kind of get in your customer's mind. And then they might even talk to their Aunt Sally, who didn't book with you, and have a little exchange, all because you chimed in on their Instagram post. So I've seen it happen. I know it works. So definitely incorporate that into your strategy. If you have a social media presence, or you're just getting started with one, I have seen it work over and over again. And get on that branded hashtag if you haven't already. I might not want to tag your Instagram handle or your Facebook page, but I could probably throw in a hashtag along with I love rum daiquiris, or whatever hashtags they've added to their post. I'm sure they'll add that, and then you can follow that hashtag. And like I said, if you've asked them for permission to repost their images, then that's great user-generated content. That then, again, going back to us being human beings and the DNA, we want social proof. So now it's not me telling the world that I'm great. It's now someone else who's experiencing it, and now you get to see what kind of service I provide. In a way, you get a glimpse of it. The other point I've got here is create an official referral program. Okay, now this is where we might get a little, into the weeds, but if you have a website, if you were selling, stuffed teddy bears, you could probably create coupons that had, referral codes. In this business, you don't really have that. So what I have seen work super well with really, really big call center agencies, as well as the individual working out of their basement part-time, is when you have a client that's going on a trip, you go to Vistaprint is just an example of one company that does it, but there's a way for you to get really, really inexpensive business cards done. Don't create a business card, create a referral card. And maybe it has your picture on it, maybe it has your logo on it, maybe it puts that unique selling value proposition on the card. So again, it helps remind the person, your client, of what to say about you and what you specialize in. Maybe you specialize in Disney adventures, whatever it is. Make this referral card and put their name on it and make it special. It's unique to them. I want to say, it's been a long time since I've ordered business cards, but I want to say probably a pack of business cards would cost you around $15 for a nice little stack. Send that to them, and of course it has all your contact information, your website, but send that to them right before their trip. They might just take some of those cards with them on the trip. And this has happened on cruises, so I'm not just making this up. I have seen this. I know that this happens. Somebody will talk about their experience with their travel advisor, and the other person's, I always go back to cruise. The other person on the cruise is like, oh, I booked this by myself, and I didn't realize that there were all these excursions I could have pre-booked, so I missed out on this, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden, your client whips out this referral card. Now, sometimes if you can, maybe you have, some kind of gift, maybe you send them a gift card. Maybe there's, a discount that you can offer on their next trip, or if you have plan to go fees, maybe there's some kind of discount that you can offer. But don't get too hung up on that, because if I am a fan of yours, I'm not necessarily looking for the $5 Starbucks gift card. I'm not necessarily looking for that, but I'm looking for a way that I can help you thrive as a business owner. And I'm not having to kind of like go through my phone and look up your contact information. You've just made it super easy for them to give a referral. They can have plenty of the cards. Like I think the smallest pack comes in like 25. If that one customer gave out 5 of those cards to potential clients, I think it's well worth the $15 to put that together and send it to them. Again, make sure it's not a business card. It is specifically a referral card, and it's a referral card that's attached to them. If it's like the Anderson family, if you've booked a family to go on a trip, then make one that says the Anderson family referral card, or something to make it special for them. Because people don't like, I mean, I don't know that I've ever given somebody's business card out. There was an old trick that if you met somebody at a trade show or an event, you're supposed to give them like 3 cards, one for them to keep and one for them to pass on to someone else. I've never done that. I've always been, let me find them on LinkedIn, and then right in the bin, the extra cards go. So that's, I just, business cards, I think, are not as special as the travel experience that you're crafting for your clients. So that is a tip. I've seen it work. Super easy. Vistaprint is one of them. Scott or Stephanie, can you think of any other printing companies that do super cheap business cards? Printing might be another one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vistaprint, printplace.com is one that we use. There are lots of them, but you make a great point. You get one referral and it paid for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
True.
I guarantee you the last travel advisor they worked with didn't do that.
There's
So
someone
you're
mentioned.
I'm sorry, Stephanie, what did you say?
Oh, I was just going to say, someone already mentioned, they said, I've had clients actually ask me for cards so they can give it to others. It's a thing. See?
It's human nature. You want to
Yeah.
help others, and the psychological factor of I want to be the person that knows things, that the secrets that no one else has. I know Joshua, and he's the master of European vacations.
People like to be the linchpin of their network. They really do. So now you're equipping them with something that is special to them, and it really makes a big difference. So, like I said, don't get hung up on a rewards program when I say create an official referral program. It doesn't necessarily have to have a built-in reward, but the card thing is something I really believe in, and it's always up to, if you don't attach a specific reward to it, then when that world cruise lands in your lap from one of these referrals and you make a nice hefty commission, then maybe send them a bottle of wine. There you go. You can
really nice bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Yes. So you can choose what to do there. But I don't necessarily get hung up on referral programs where it's like, if you fill out this punch card, you get $10 off. Don't worry about that. But this little trick of making these custom business referral cards unique to your customer, it will pay dividends, and it will cost you next to nothing. And like Scott said, one would pay for the printing costs. I've got two last things that I want to offer up. I know we're getting close to time, but now you've got this base, or you have an existing customer base right now. You've got followers on social media. This is not necessarily on the the first experience with you in creating that phenomenal first experience, but in your content that you create, it is, you're talking about, whether it's social media posts or blog posts, you're talking about things that you do that are tied to your business. But it's also super helpful. It feels good to you, but it also feels good to your audience to connect with something that bigger and outside of yourself. Whether that's a charity that you participate in on a regular basis, or you do food drives, or you're saving tigers, or whatever it is. Think about, I don't want you to think about it in a oh, I got to get all the money I can from people, so I'm gonna be a part of a charity. But if there's some alignment with some sort of a charity or something that you believe in that really connects with your customers and your fans, create that content on social media, share that content. If it represents who you are as a company, as an individual, or as a team, then if it pulls at their heartstrings, they're going to share that content with their audience. So it's not necessarily travel specific content, but it's showing the human side of your business. Because at the end of the day, I'm not doing business with a business. I'm doing business with a human, whether it's a solopreneur or it's a team member on a much bigger team. You want to bring that human factor in. So that I threw that in as something to think about, because most of us do participate. I participate in Movember, so if you want to, sponsor me for Movember, you can find
coming
more.
up.
Looking good already there.
Yeah.
Got a head start.
See, they didn't make you have to shave it off, so I got a nice head start. But Movember, resonates with me as a brand, as a personal brand. So it's something that I do share on social media. But think about ways that you can incorporate that. The last thing that I want to leave you with is reach out to your clients on regular intervals. I know that that sounds obvious and that's very salesy, and the salesy is not bad, but reach out to them on regular intervals. I have a thoughtful calendar where the contacts that I work with every 3 months. It's a thoughtful calendar within my Mac, so it's all in my on my phone and on my iPad as well. But if I have a conversation with someone, or I have a transaction of some sort with someone, then I put a reminder for 3 months out to touch base with them. It's just touch base with Vicky. And that touch base could be go to their Facebook page and look to see what they've been up to. It could be just send them an email. Now that's what I do for my personal interactions, because I don't want to, just because I get busy, I don't want to forget about somebody. But if I create this system where there's constant reminders, oh, reach out, then if in this situation, in the sales situation, if you make a phone call or even leave a voicemail, you would be surprised. You just brought yourself front of mind with your client. You never know what situation they're in right now or in the next few days. And because you brought yourself front of mind, it will help spark that referral. So make sure that that's a part of your CRM or a part of your reminder system, that you've got those regular check-ins, and make sure it's a phone call. And it's okay if you leave a voicemail. That counts, because now your voice it's in their brains. You're in their brains. Emails just do not work in this scenario. We all get so many emails that it just kind of gets washed out. But what I will tell you is, if you're not a phone person, and I do understand it, handwritten notes, because no one does handwritten notes anymore. If you do those on regular intervals in place of calling, or maybe you alternate between phone calls and handwritten notes, you would be amazed at how that blows people's minds. And they might even open that card while they've got guests over at their house. And then Aunt Debbie says, well, I was looking for someone to help me book, a Panama Canal cruise, and then all of a sudden, you don't know, you can't control all these situations, but you can control how many times you come to mind with your clients. So those were my tips that I wanted to, put out there. And probably at this point, we should see if there's any questions,
Yeah.
But I do want to
Yeah.
say, when you write down the strategy, think of ways that it can be so systematic and automatic, so you don't have to think about it. Just like what I was saying about using my reminders. I don't necessarily have to think, oh, is it 3 months yet? No, I know that my computer is going to remind me to reach out to this client, or I always order the referral cards 30 days out from departure, or something like that. Just create a system so it's not something you have to think about. But I'm telling you, once you put this strategy in place, it will just, again, you'll have more clients than you could ever imagine.
That's awesome.
So
Actually, oh, sorry.
oh,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing that we experience at Travefy that on the point that you just made is hitting the magical tipping point where your word of mouth is reaching more people than your marketing is reaching people. It took us, I would say it took us 2 to 3 years to get to that point. And again, I'm not saying that in a bragging context, but we worked really, really hard in those first few years and tried to invest, going back to like that, making the investment time and time again, to where then that starts spreading. I'm guessing at TravelQuest and some of the other organizations you've been with, it's the same thing, that agents talk to agents or other things like that, and it starts spreading. And one of the things that I think can be useful for agents and advisors to think about it long term, but also think about, how can I hit this really, really hard for the next 12 months so that I can jumpstart this, not dabble in it, but really, really hit it hard for a year. And then you'll start to see that coming into play, you know, within 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, it's the same thing with whenever you optimize your website. If you guys out there, you know, work on your website and you work on the SEO, I have a rule, and it's proven me right every single time, that every single change I make in in doing that on the web, it isn't until 6 months later when I see the results from that. So like you said, it's going to happen if you put these things in play right now and you hit it hard. It's going to happen, but it's going to happen at a time when you aren't expecting it. And then it's like the floodgates have opened. So, but you have to start right now. You have to, take care of the clients that you have right now, come up with the strategy, get these things in play, and see that it'll prove us right.
Absolutely.
The one thing I was going to mention earlier is actually the webinar that we had right before this kind of like talked about that, was with Corinne Johnson. She was talking about putting together basically your work process, your workflow of keeping client connection. So even like when they book and then after and all that. So we were just talking about that. So it is a big topic of discussion.
Yeah, I think I was surprised at some of the agents that I got to work with within our company that did not necessarily have that tickler file to reach out to clients, and just assumed that because they had a great experience, they will come back to them. And that isn't always the case. Sometimes it is, it isn't always the case. So do what you can to make you be known as the travel expert within your circle.
Yeah, I think that's all so great. And I know we're running low on time here, but we had a lot of the questions were getting my handwritten notes together to send out. Thanks, and so many great suggestions, and loving all this. One person did mention, I want to mention this, Robin said you could use a local printer to develop that relationship for your business or for those referral cards. I thought that was a really good idea.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. And I bet that they would then send it directly. You just give the customer address and they would send it directly to them. And so then it's not like you have to wait for the order to come in and then you got to go take it to the post office. I'm sure if you work with a local printer, you're supporting local business, and they would do that for you, no problem. It's very easy for them to do. So that, I think, I wish I had thought about that first.
I know, I was like, that's so smart, of course, yeah. And then, yeah, and talking, same thing with kind of the charities and, and working. And I know I've talked to other agents who especially right now during this time, they're building relationships in their community by getting involved in, different organizations. And then they're just dropping in, oh yeah, I'm a travel agent, or I book travel. So if you need me for this type of stuff, I'm there. And so, yeah, makes total sense.
And there's so many Facebook groups now, whether you're a part of like a 90-day challenge to just live better, do better, whatever it is, that, as long as, as you make friends within those communities, as long as the content that you're creating, if they follow you, is signaling that you are travel, you'd be surprised at how many people you can expand your network, in that way, even in a virtual environment. To where they think about you. So, always signal out, I am travel and I am the best at travel.
I love that. That is awesome. And I just want to, I know we're right on time, so I just want to say thank you so much, Joshua. That is awesome. It's exciting. It's always exciting to have, I know you and Scott have chatted together and I've gotten to talk to you a little bit, but I just love your energy and you have great ideas. And everyone they were asking too, by the way, again, about if anyone didn't catch that, we are going to send out the printout that Joshua was talking about. And you can also share this video with other people, because there's a couple of people mentioning that they want to share with other agents. So thank you so much, Joshua, for spending time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. And Scott, I am so glad that Stephanie twisted your arm to join us. Because
well, I'm very thankful my 2-year-old did not just burst through the doors, because I had to go on mute because she got home and was like bawling.
No.
screaming that she
No.
couldn't come into my office to see me. So
Oh.
we spared the chaos.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it, and I am so excited that the Travify Academy exists, and I think that's wonderful that you've put together this sales series. So anytime I can come back, I would love to.
Ooh, careful what you wish for. Might
I
just have you
know.
back
Take you
here.
deal. We'll take you up on it.
Yeah. Thanks again, and thanks everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening, morning, afternoon, whatever it might be. See you guys.
Cool. Thanks, Joshua.
Bye. Thank you guys.
See ya.